All right. Then, as I stipulated in the tapes, without going into the details again, we have the three matzot, and all of the meditation that goes into it is fully explained in the tapes, and therefore I don't want to take up the time of repetition. Okay. Then we come after we have this is our system, our program. This program being faced with us is like the stuff in the computer. Now everything is what we put on the keyboard. The 15 stages could be compared to the keyboard. This is our program. In other words, the 7 sfirot together with the 3 matzot is going to assist us now in each time we place, when you press the key, you're putting something in according to the program. Is that right, Ben? That's the way it works. Okay? All right, then we come to the first stage, which is Kaddish, which means we make the Kiddush. Now, it is very important, unlike the Sfardim today that use the Ashkenazi Agadah, be very certain and sure that you get a kind of Haggadah that will give you the L'Shem Yichud, or where the meditation is why we're doing and what we're doing before the Kiddush, and that is to combine the Yud K with the Vav K. Even if you don't understand it, but at least say it. Now, it's rare today that you find a Haggadah that does not have the Kavanah, the meditation. In other words, they've even taken away the scanning of a Jew, that before he says the Kaddish, he can't even say the meditation, even if he didn't know what it meant. But at one time, you had the meditation written, and so all he had to do was at least scan it. So be sure that you have the L'Shem Yichud or Hareini Rotze L'Kadesh, whatever it is, but it's L'Kayem Misrat Kos Rishon of the 4 Kosot, and you know that the first one is. What are there for? Again, making use of the Tetragrammaton. So the first kos would be towards the Yud. The second kos of Borei Pri Agafim would be for the first Hey, and so forth. All right? That's right. The Yud would be Chachma, and so forth and so on. Okay? Then we make the Kiddush. Now, because it's Friday night as well, we would make the complete Kiddush. The reason for the Kiddush, by now you understand it, is the same principle by which we can connect with what is happening this particular night, just like on Shabbat. The Kiddush, which really doesn't mean holy, but means Wholly, which means it completes the circuit. Kadesh, Kadosh means circuitry, not some word meaning purity, holiness, or whatever. Holiness meaning with a W. It creates circuitry. All right, so that's stage number 1. Now the second stage is urchatz. You're supposed to wash your hands. Now, not everybody has to wash their hands, and if everybody doesn't have to wash their hands, then what is the reason for the urchatz? So only because of what the Ari says do we have some kind of understanding, and all you have to do is just meditate on this idea. It comes from the word rechitza. So he says rachatz yud hey. In other words, the washing here, we're trying to again remove some of the klipot, which sometimes physically attach themselves and sometimes metaphysically attach themselves to the hands. So we should meditate on the word rachatz yud hey. We are washing in order to connect with the top 2 letters of the Tetragrammaton, which is yud hey. Now we come to the third stage, which is karpas. This is the celery. Again, here, if you have the right Haggadah, you will have the meditation already stipulated, the L'Shem Yichud. We're doing this to connect the top of the Tetragrammaton, the Yud Hey, with the Vav Kei. Now the Karpas We said before the karpas is hod, is the sfirat hod, right? Now, sfirat hod, also briefly stated for those who already know, it'll mean more to them. But at least you understand that it comes from the word samach and perach. In other words, samach meaning 60, which also means 600, and also means 600,000. This all represents all of the souls. All of the souls were contained in hod. Now, hod is another form of malchut. When you learn the Omer, we know what the importance of Lag BaOmer, because it's hod. And I can't, in this limited time, go through an entire explanation, but it is explained on the tapes. But what it represents is an infusion of all of the souls that received a total illumination this night during Pesach, and had all those souls not received the illumination, that would have indicated that there was still a little klipa around. In other words, when we say 600,000, we are talking about 600,000, but they could be subdivided. But whatever that means is, the reason why the Jew has to do it, and maybe not the non-Jew, is because the Jew represents this desire to receive for oneself alone in its epitome, and if he achieves complete illumination, then there is total illumination. So when we are participating in this action of the karpas, which we put into salt water or into salt water, what we are doing is the salt water, which again we have explained is the aspect of chesed. You know, the whole blood is based, the way the blood keeps itself going is because of the sodium solution that is in the blood. If there was no salt, the whole body could not exist. Salt is necessary. Briefly, so that's why we dip it into salt. It maintains all of this light that was diffused through the karpas. The karpas represented all of the souls. All of the souls. Since hod represents all of the 600,000 souls, therefore, when we take this karpas and we make the appropriate blessing for it, we are in essence connecting to the total illumination that the 600,000 souls provided for us on this night. So a cosmic event was established, a total illumination was established. Now all that is required is for me to make my connection. The karpas will make that connection to that illumination that was established by the 600,000 Jews at that time. Now we come to the state of yachatz. All right? We take the middle matzah, right, which it says you take the middle matzah and you, okay, the word yachatz also comes from the word chetz, means a spear. What we are doing is taking the middle matzah, which is the levi, and we are splitting it into two parts. You know, one part is the larger part and one part is the smaller part. The larger part we preserve for later on for the afikoman, and the smaller part we use that for the bracha that we shall make soon after a certain section of the Haggadah has already been recited. Now we split these into two parts. One part is considered the Daled, and one part is considered the Vav. All right, what does that mean? The top matzah is Chachma. The second matzah is Binah or Levi. And the third matzah, which is Yisrael or central column, or Dat, which also means central column. But the Binah, you know, in the Tetragrammaton is what letter? What letter is Binah in the Tetragrammaton?
Okay.
That's right. So here we are just like the word matzah. What is the difference between chametz, which means leavened bread, and matzah? What is the difference? By spearing the chet, right? We severed the leg of the left leg of the chet. Okay, we have a chet over here. All right? We have a chet here. This is a chet, for those of you who don't know what a chet means. Now, when we sever this left leg and make a separation, we have speared it, so to speak. It now becomes the same two words of chametz, mem, and sadik, now become matzah, when you speared the chet. And you know what chet means? Chet also represents sin, the letter itself, as I explained in the power of the alphabet. The maror you must eat. Those are the essential things that you can't escape. Those are parts of the program that must be physically manifested in the level of what we call malchut. The rest of it, scan it. Go through it as quickly as possible. Days like Pesach is not as high as the level of consciousness of Shabbat. So everything that we are doing on this day is for the whole year. It's a thin thread that stretches for the whole year. How much light there'll be for us for the whole year stretches the whole year. Explained in the power of the alphabet. All of these things will only add to the information that is that can be used to improve the program. So Yachatz, we're doing this action to create within the matzah two sections that are going to be used for a subsequent action. All right. Then we come to the aspect of magid, which means to say. Now the Ari says, what does it mean? Say, Haggadah, to say. It comes from the word Pesach. Pe, which means mouth. Sach means talk. Samachet. Now, samachet also means life. It is exactly the same as with paro. It was also pe. If you know, paro is spelled peresh ayin hey. Peresh ayin hey. When you hear it over the tape, for those of you who are not too familiar with Hebrew, and that's why the letters are essential, you have the same two letters, pei hey, in paro, but instead of having the samachet, which means chayim, how does it approach chayim? 68. That's right. In paro, it'll be ra, evil. But why do we speak? Because the word Pesach means the mouth. Remember we said about the passing over, right? Passing over, but it also has included within that passing over not only merely the central column, but also the mouth should speak. The mouth should speak. The mouth can also speak life, and the mouth can speak evil. Paro means ra, the mouth speaks evil, but we are using it as Pesach, Samachet, which is 68, and the word Chayim, Chet Yud Yud Mem, also has a numerical value of 68. Therefore, what we are instituting here by our discussion of the Agadah is exclaiming life as opposed to the evil. What is evil? Evil means lack. Life means fulfillment. That is the next stage, Magid. Now, in this Magid, again, you have the meditation that must be said before. And this is the Holach Ma'anya, which I will explain briefly. This is the poor bread that our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Now, when we are discussing the poor bread, we will uncover the matzah. It's the poor bread. Why is it called the poor bread? Is it bread of the poor? No. It is called bread, poor man's bread, because bread usually rises. And here, the bread was made to be restricted. That's the whole idea of matzah that you get from the tape, and I don't want to repeat. The reason for the matzah is the leaven or the yeast, or the wheat has not been permitted to rise. It's like the desire to receive, which rises, always looking for more, to expand and expand and expand. That is expand and expand and expand. That is symbolic of the desire to receive for oneself alone. But the matzah is the opposite. We, in turn, have provided this. So what does it mean, halach ma'anya? Why is it called poor man's bread? Why is it called poor man's bread? Because for the Jew in Egypt, this was poor man's bread. They were so accustomed to expansion, achieving all physical and material wealth that was possible, and they did achieve it. And now all of a sudden, they are required for freedom to reverse the whole process, to begin the restriction process.
Where does Amadim takes place?
We didn't come to that yet. We didn't come to yet. We'll come to that in a minute.
When we say we uncover the matzah,
Right.
we open up the two doors for the three matzah?
Just that the one should be seen.
Which one?
Anyway, well, actually the middle one. The middle one, because the middle one is poor. It's dalit. Now, the Hebrew word for dalit means poor, dal. So you uncover the levy part.
When we break it,
We broke it already.
right, but the Fikamah we put away.
We put away for later.
And the other half, so the dal we put back in.
The smaller part is returned.
So do we take it out? It's the...
Well, you can waive it if you want to. Yes. All right? And what do we say because of this poor man's bread? Everybody should come and eat. Whoever needs. Why? Again, it's indicating what? It's indicating the act of sharing rather than once before. Before this aspect of poor man's bread, they were only accustomed to the aspect of taking. All right? Then it says, Hashata hakal l'shana haba ba'arad Yisrael. Now, this doesn't seem to make sense. It says this year we are somewhere else, but the year to come we should be in Israel. Now we are slaves, and in the year to come we shall be free. And of course, it's obvious that what happens for those people who are in Israel? Do they have to recite this same prayer? And who is slaves today? But from the previous discussion on what is called slavery, and that'll answer your question, it says we were slaves. Slaves do not mean, in a sense, slaves like maybe in the South where they were beaten and they lived under very primitive conditions. The Jews had it very good. They were not slaves in terms of deprivation. They had everything they needed from a material point of view. However, we discussed what is called freedom. Freedom means where you are in control of your situation, where you can control your environment, you control your mental and physical well-being and so forth. That's what he's talking about. Now, when he says about Israel, that now we are outside of Israel, now in the year to come, hopefully we'll be in Israel. And what about those who are in Israel? However, those who are in Israel, not all of them are tapping the energy consciousness of Israel. Just because you are located there doesn't mean it. What we're saying is hopefully that we shall achieve that level of consciousness of what Israel represents as the energy center of the entire world. So the fact that you can sit somewhere, you can sit next to an atomic reactor, doesn't mean you can take advantage of it. All right?
When it says we're slaves, talking about being slaves to our desires.
That's correct. Meaning that we had no free will, we had no control over our destiny. That is what slavery means. What? Uncertainty is part of slavery. That's correct. All right, then we have the 4 questions. Each question should be directed to the Yud Kei Vav Ki, to the Tetragrammaton. It is another coded message by which we are connecting to the 4 aspects of the Tetragrammaton, to the 4 Sfirot of Chachma, Bina, Zeir Anpin, Umalchut. That has to do with the 4 questions. Anywhere where you will have 4, you understand that it relates to that aspect. Now, the rest of the Haggadah The rest of the Haggadah all centers around the four and the two aspects. The two aspects of negative energy intelligence and positive energy intelligences. Now, the reason we say each word, now there are, for the most part, it becomes too much for many people to say. So let me say, even if it is too much for you, at least understand that if you scan it, it is at its minimal value as if you had said it. It is not as effective. We know scanning in a supermarket of the product code, it gives a certain amount of information. The product code generally does not give you the ingredients. The product code, in fact, doesn't even give you the weight. It could, maybe can, but that's not the reason for the product code is for a very precise reason. Number one, to know that you've sold it, so you know what your inventory is, to produce a price, and to know the name of the product that when you have to reorder. That's all it contains. Now, is there a possibility of that scanner producing more information? The answer is yes. So therefore, if you have no desire, at least the 15 stages that we have outlined here, not all of them, but the ones that we have outlined, those should be said out loud. In other words, they should be established. Now, the connecting links between these 15 stages are the words that that is being recited. We're not going to explain every part. We need a couple of months to do that. But what we are here for in Kabbalah, at least to understand that we want to get out all that is available, at least with a minimal effort. But a certain amount of effort must be present. In other words, if in that telephone system there's one wire missing, it's not going to work. So you use the minimal. Now, a telephone wire system isn't the most advanced system. I can't use my telephone to call an astronaut in outer space. I need some more advanced technology. But there is always that minimal that is required for connection. The Agadah is your minimal systems, equipment that will provide for us that connection. So, if you're tired or whatever, scan it rather than just skip it because you got to turn the page anyway. So, take another 3 seconds and scan the page rather than go like this. Well, I want to come to the next stage. The next stage is the most important part of the stage. After you've skipped everything in between, if you want to know more about it, you can know more about it by studying it and so forth and so on. Now, you have done all this because every part here is an improvement on your program. Nothing more. Nothing more. This is not just they decided to burden us with a little more extracurricular activity so we should have more to say. That was not the purpose.
You say this, well, I can't see it. What is this?
The Haggadah.
Before the 4 questions.
No, we got past the 4 questions.
And then after that?
Now, after the 4 questions comes a load of stuff that probably 80% of people who are making the Seder skip it.
Would you say to scan?
I say scan it.
Okay.
At its minimum, scan it. Scan it.
Can you say it in Hebrew or can you say it in English if you're not well?
Forget English by any means because the English language is not as powerful as the Hebrew language. So I'd rather you scanned it, not know a word you're saying, not know a word you're pronouncing, not know a word that you understand, but your eye has caught the power of the alphabet. This is the essential part. The translation already became a corruption. So they thought it would make it more interesting if you knew what you were saying. But to whom is a telephone instrument interesting other than for the sake of being able to call somebody? We're not interested in the system itself, on how it was set up to do the job it has to do for us. So it is essential that you scan it until you come then to the next stage. And you'll see, if you have the proper Agadah, you will come to the stage of where you make the blessing. Because you have filled along the way, you have filled up the second cup of wine, and now you are ready for the drinking of the second wine. Now remember, the second drinking of the wine is for the first hay of the Tetragrammaton. Remember, we have an overall program of the Tetragrammaton relating to the wine. So the second cup that you drink, you have to meditate on the hay, the first hay of the Tetragrammaton, and then you make the appropriate blessing, and you say the Borei Pri Hagafen. Then you say out loud. Again, all of these stages ought to be repeated out loud. How can I to what can I compare this? In countdowns and where they call out, we're at this stage and so forth, so everybody is aware of where they're at. You have to pronounce the word. The next stage will be rachza, meaning you wash your hands. Here, the washing of the hands is like it is all during the year, to remove not only the physical dirt, and probably your hands are clean anyway, but to remove all aspects and all rough edges that the klipot, that the metaphysical aspects of desire to receive, latch on to the hands. Now, you know why they latch on to the hands? Because the hands are the instruments by which we achieve our own desires to receive for oneself alone. Now, it's essential that we vaporize any aspect, this night at least. Tomorrow, go back to your own desire to receive for as much as you want. But we're talking now, let's have the common sense enough to do the thing right and capture the light. Whatever we want to do tomorrow is another matter. All right, so we wash our hands and we make the appropriate blessing of Netilat Yadayim. Then we take then we have the aspect of motzi, which is motzi lechem min haaretz, right? And again, here you should do the meditation, which even if you can't read it, but be certain that you have the right Agadah. You see, even if you can't read Hebrew, but you know how to make the blessings, but the meditation is also in Hebrew. But if you scanned it and you just went out, because it always precedes every important stage. Every important stage, you have I am now ready to do the meditation on whatever the appropriate stage is. But if it's not there, then you didn't even meditate on it. You didn't even have an opportunity to scan if it wasn't present.
What happened when the rest of the Musulim are not exactly agreeing with what you're doing? Would that harm your own program, or?
It doesn't harm your own program. It's a tremendously uncomfortable feeling, and this is what religion has brought Passover to. I mean, nobody has the patience to say it all. I'm not talking about how far one is religious or far one is not. People, get tired, and who wants to say it so long?
No, even before that, Tarab, when you're designating, this is...
Yes. If you don't do it, you haven't done it.
And if they're not in full agreement with you...
Well, when you say they're not full agreement, are they preventing you from doing it? No.
But they are intervening.
Are you telling me that they're displaying some negative energy? Of course. Yeah, they're displaying intolerance. What could be greater than the intolerance that brought the destruction of the temple? So,
exactly. So this is the desire to receive oneself alone.
It should be avoided.
So you should do
silent meditation.
No. But what happens in many cases, they may even know what you do because you're going to call out, or even the silent meditation. But when you take the matzah, are you going to call it kohen, or you're just going to put it there and not call it kohen?
Call it kohen.
But they may even be against that idea of calling it kohen. There have been cases. I've heard cases like that.
So you try to do according to it. What I'm asking is, if you do it with people like that, it's better to do it by yourself?
Yes. 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 Yes, because either I recommend people not do it at all, and I do recommend to people who don't have the patience or don't understand. I say don't do it at all. But if you're doing it, you might as well do it right. That's all. And those who feel you shouldn't do it right, which only by Jews can you say, well, I'm opposed to you doing it. Well, look, let him do his thing. He wants to stand on his head. Do I want him to? Is he my child, let's say? He's my child, right? And I don't approve. He's gone to some Kabbalah class and he's learned what to do, right? And now I'm opposed to what you're doing. Where's your tolerance? Do you love the son or you don't love the son? So he wants to stand on his head. What would be worse? He wants to stand on his head. Aren't you happy that he participates in your Seder? That's why you wanted him there in the first place. Why shouldn't you display a little tolerance for him? No, not when it comes to that. I mean, this is such hypocrisy. I mean, what am I supposed? What can I answer people? No, truthfully. I can only tell them that for the reason that the Seder was established to create a little feeling, a little freedom, a little tolerance. And the opposite comes up. Because the whole thing, for most, and I say for most, I might say 90%, maybe more, they don't know what it's all about. If they don't know what it's all about, it becomes a burden, and so, let's get through with it as quickly as possible. And if there's a good cooked present, let's get to the food and finish.
If you do the whole thing the proper way.
All right, before that, I want to say that each case should be the large letters. You'll always have the large letters, even if you don't call that out because you can't even read it. Hopefully, you should learn at least the 15 stages to call them out. By calling them out, you have established at its very minimum that state. Now, everything else is done. When you make the motzi, you've improved your program. If you eat the maror, you've improved the program. But each letter at its very minimum, if that's all you did all night, called it out, you set down at least that minimum. Minimum. But the four koset must be, you must drink. The matzah, you must eat. The maror you must eat. Those are the essential things that you can't escape. Those are parts of the program that must be physically manifested in the level of what we call malchut. The rest of it, scan it. Go through it as quickly as possible if it's a bore. But at least know that, what the purpose is. All right?
Can I ask a stupid question?
What about the connection of Shabbat? The energy.
Okay, now this year it is even more powerful. This year it is even more powerful because the level of consciousness that we achieve on the holidays like Pesach is not as high as the level of consciousness of Shabbat. So everything that we are doing on this day is for the whole year. It's a thin thread that stretches for the whole year. How much light there'll be for us for the whole year stretches the whole year. But because it's on Shabbat, we are taking this same power and it's being increased by a heavier level of consciousness. So the year should even be better than when normally Pesach would not be on Shabbat.
So what about the comparison? I think it was last year or the year before where it came out on a Thursday, which was the same time during Sinai, during the original time. Would that be more powerful, or would this be more powerful?
This would be more powerful.
This would be more positive.
That's right.
It's a Shabbat that can carry over for the year.
What's that? That's right. Well, even stronger.
Yeah.
Even each activity of this light and each accomplishment for us of this light is increased to manifold.
I know the tools are not different between what the normal people that they're not behaving according to what the Kabbalah say. That's what I'm trying to say is it's the same Haggadah more or less. Somebody went and printed shorter or went and printed longer. What's with the songs at the end of the book?
Well, very nice, but if you have no time, you have no patience to sing, go scan the words.
No. Why the songs? I mean, we have finished the Haggadah.
Okay, actually, it's not the songs, but rather the words. Now, we learned this morning what the power of song is. In other words, there are some people, like we sing many other parts besides the end of the Haggadah. Many other parts, because we learned that song is on a much higher level of consciousness than words. Remember this morning? That's why the Torah does not have musical notes, while included in that white parchment are the musical notes that we cannot observe or see.
Upon coming back from the synagogue, we just start the regular Shabbat Kiddush and then sit down on the Seder.
Yes, after the tefillah, yes, that's right. And then we sit down, right.
How much do you have to eat to fulfill the program?
To fulfill the program, all you really have to eat is, let's say, this size of the matzah each time that we're required to eat the matzah. That's all. And then if you didn't feel like eating the rest of the meal, nothing would go lost. So, but that would destroy the myth of, the traditional supper. No, the only ones who made a Last Supper were the Persians. Remember? There's a Persian Last Supper.
All those years, what our parents have taught us about Pesach is completely in contradiction.
What?
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 All the years that I've learned Pesach.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Absolutely, because it's a new thing.
Well, first of all, we know that they have failed to some extent in their explanation because 2,000 years of problems. That means.
Getting back to Shabbat.
What?
Yes.
Yes, of course, but in the Kiddush,
Well, on the process of mentioning those threads. On the process of mentioning the pledge.
Yes.
Is there any special process we should do? Because
Well, I want to go into those particulars because I said, but yes, each one. If you want to become particular, if you see 10, then you know what you're talking about. You start from Malchut, you go up to Keter, right? What? Well, because Malchut Bechorot was the Keter, was the crown. It goes upwards. What's that? That's right.
Again, getting back to the Shabbat aspect. In the beginning, do we go through the process of Shabbat and then do the Haggadah?
You do the usual prayer, but because if it's Shabbat, there's a few additional words that.
The usual. Kiddush.
No. The Kiddush is what's prescribed, except there's additional words added to the Kiddush because of the Shabbat.
But I mean, the Psalms of the Shabbat, the songs for Shabbat are still relevant and everything, right?
If you have time for it.
If our group,
Sure. In the meal, we would do that. Well, unfortunately, that's probably why we finish at 5, 6 in the morning. You see, we're doing the whole thing.
By the way, just an answer, they get used to it. They get used to it and then they come back. I got people coming back from last year that they're coming back.
No, I didn't ask if they're getting used to it at this point.
No, I understand.
Are you blowing the
I'm
shofar?
not more worried about it.
Okay, all right. Well, I just want to wish and bless everyone with a, hopefully we achieve the objective that we discussed tonight and have a year full of light, no lack, and no uncertainty. Amen.
Amen. The lack. You can't have the light.
What?
If we don't have the lack, we can't have the light.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I can have the light without the whole bus, I don't.